What's up, everybody? Welcome to another summer edition of Morning Cup of Hockey. It feels like there's finally some stuff to talk about, Colby. We got a lot of news. We got a lot of excitement going on around the National Hockey League for the first time in what feels like a long time this summer. So I'm excited to be back on here. It feels like it's been a long time since we last recorded, because it actually has been. We recorded 2 weeks ago, and we both, or all three of us, kind of had a little bit of a vacation last week. We're back at it now. As you can tell, my voice is a little bit gone. I've been coaching kids all week. I can't believe the Islanders organization's allowing me to teach the youth, but they have. So very thankful to the man.
Have you been screaming and yelling?
I've been screaming, but like fun screaming. Like I'm trying to keep the energy up, like have a good time. It's all for fun. I'm working the Matt Martin camp this week. I've done a lot of stuff, honestly. I was at the Hockey fundraiser this weekend with the Hagens brothers and a couple other cool guys out here on Long Island, and a lot coming up. But what's going on with you, Colby?
Yeah, no, I really, the last two episodes that we did, Johnny, I got to tell you, they were two of my favorite interviews that we've probably done. Pesci was great for a guy that neither of us knew. For him to get on and be so comfortable with us, especially kind of knowing that he doesn't really like doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was told before he hates doing interviews.
He was a great conversation. And then honestly, man, the Tony DeAngelo hour interview was awesome. Like, yeah. And the reactions were so interestingly all over the place. Like, you had your typical people that are going to say what they're going to say. They're going to talk shit. The same people that if they saw him walking down the street would probably ask him, for his autograph, but, they're still going to be keyboard warriors. And then there were a lot of people that responded with just like, they were so thankful to get to hear him talk. And he's not someone who generally does those types of things. He usually just turns people down for those types of interviews. But, seeing as how I've known him since he's 13 years old, he was so gracious with us. But you can hear it. He's well-spoken. He's got a lot to say. He's been humbled by a lot of things that have gone on. He took responsibility in certain areas. And honestly, that was one of the more enjoyable conversations that I think we've had, more honest conversations, right? Like there was no, I'm worried about what the teammates are going to say, what my teammate, like he was just raw and honest with us. And I think that's really all you can ask for. And it's just something you don't get that often.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of mixed reviews for sure. Especially from the Ranger fans. I don't know if you get the Ranger fans as much as I do. There were some unhappy people. There were some people who, like you said, were interested just to hear the story too.
You know what, man, the reality is like, the people who are like, I'm not going to waste my time listening to that. That's the wrong kind of thinking. I agree. It's good to listen to people you might not agree with. You never know. Like in any part of life, it's good to hear the other side's version, opinion, whatever, because a lot of times what you come to realize is like, you're not that far off in your thought process with other people. And I know that's something that I force myself to do in hockey. Talk to people, ask them, steel man me, tell me why I'm wrong here. Let me hear your point of view, why this shouldn't be a suspension.
Just not with me.
Yeah, just not with you, right? But so people that I respect, right? Yeah. So I think that kind of stuff is really good. Yeah. And listen, you say things all the time where I'm like, okay, that's a good point, and it makes me think about things a little bit different. Look, I was listening to, over the last couple of days, Joe Rogan and Peter Thiel. It was like a 3.5-hour podcast, right? Peter Thiel's like one of the most successful venture capital guys in the world. Okay. Yeah. Look him up, right? He's written books. He's a mega wealthy, mega successful guy. And, Joe Rogan has a lot of different ideas and theories too. And what was cool is like, there were certain things and topics that they talked about on the show that I already had opinions on, and hearing Peter Thiel's difference of opinion, he's a total libertarian, so he comes at it in that way. It made me rethink some of my opinions on certain things, and like that kind of stuff that I appreciate. And I know I'm going off topic a little bit, but I apply that thought process to Tony DeAngelo, and hearing his side of things, his side of the events, hearing from other players what they saw and heard and this and that. I mean, you still have people, Johnny, and I got these tweets, and one guy tweeted me, and I can't remember what his name was, but he's a producer at that guy for Stugatz, you know, that network, I know Dan Le Batard network, right? Okay. That guy who left ESPN, who is, you know, it's sports, but it's also very political, right? And he responded with, did he admit to the fact that he stole Keandre Miller's first puck or whatever? Like, there are still people that think that that's real and that's true, because that coward of a writer, and I don't remember who it was, put that story out completely made up. And I responded to him and I said, listen to our show. That is a completely fabricated and that's a total lie. But there's still people out there that think that. So it's so important to hear other people's opinions that you may not agree with. And that's why having Tony on was great. And, you know, I really enjoyed that episode that we did.
Yeah. And listen, at the end of the day, I don't think we need to explain ourselves. You know, I also didn't know him prior to interviewing him, and I like to form my own judgment on people also. So, you know, I read what was said about Tony for years, and I've heard also great things about Tony for years. And, you know, we had him on. I thought he was great. And, you know,
well, I'm glad that you take that approach. I am glad that you take the approach.
I do. I mean, you know me, Colby. Like, there's no one like I really hate. Right?
Exactly. You you really do. You never like our shows. You know, no fly list is mostly people from me and my history, not from you
and one girl that I've dated.
Yeah, and one girl that Johnny dated that I don't like. So look. Good stuff. The last
fiance who we had on for 10 minutes.
Good stuff that we've had the last couple of weeks. It's good to be back in a more current state. We are recording this on August the 20th. It's about 6 p.m. Charlie McAvoy is going to join us shortly. Johnny, go ahead.
Well, I also didn't say that we are presented by Bet365. I got to give a shout out to Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the sport, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. So use our code DAILY365. Bet365 has announced a historic sponsorship agreement, becoming the first official sports betting partner of the UEFA Champions League. The partnership will be launched with one of the largest ticket giveaways in UEFA history. Thousands of football fans in some of the biggest UCL nations will be given the opportunity to experience a UEFA Champions League match day with Bet365, providing access to some of the most sought-after seats in all of football. So big shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Like Colby was saying, we do have Charlie McAvoy joining the show shortly. Anything you wanted to add to that I cut off, and I apologize for doing so.
No, I was just going to say, you know, I said when we're recording, Charlie McAvoy is going to join us shortly, which is awesome. This was
he just texted me. He'll be on in 10.
Cool. So this is a great get by you, Johnny. But there is NHL news right now. And like, finally, we have some stuff to talk about. And, you know, a week ago, Doug Armstrong, the general manager and president, who's really the outgoing general manager of the St. Louis Blues, the succession plan has already been announced for him. This is a guy who gets put in charge of Team Canada, very highly and well-respected guy, puts in 2 offer sheets for 2 players on the Edmonton Oilers, which, you know, look, I love to see it because I love the offer sheet. I think more offer sheet would create more drama in the NHL. But strategically, I thought it was a smart move because you didn't have to give massive long-term contracts. You got Dylan Holloway at a reasonable number, and you're going to give him more opportunity.
Who I think is going to be a stud, too. Like, that's such a good spot for him.
Yeah, listen, it remains to be seen. All right, I'm like
I thought he was pretty good in the playoffs. He was pretty good.
Like I said, with more opportunity, we hope to see more, but there's clearly potential. I think Broberg's another guy, needs a new place to play, needs a little bit maybe more structure to the way his team plays. He's making more than he should, but it's a short-term deal, and so you can deal with it. And all you had to do is give up a 2nd and a 3rd round pick. And the funniest line that I saw today from Doug Armstrong, once we learned that the offer sheet wouldn't be matched, was that I heard a rumor that if Ken Holland were still the GM, I wouldn't have done this. But let me tell you something. If my mother was the GM of the Edmonton Oilers, I still would have done it. This is good business.
Doug Armstrong said that?
Doug Armstrong said it would not have mattered if Ken Holland was still the GM, because there's rumors that he's only doing this because it's no longer Ken Holland and they're Hockey Canada buddies and golf buddies and this and that. And he said, it wouldn't matter. I would have done it to my own mother if she was running the Edmonton Oilers to improve my team. And again, to get those two players and give up a second and a third, I don't have a problem with it. And so the question that I'm going to come with you to here, Johnny, is what do you believe? What do you make of the fact that Stan Bowman, in his first major act as GM, yes, he traded Cody Ceci and a third for Ty Emberson, so massive salary dump on that one. What do you make of Stan Bowman's first move and deciding not to match Broberg and Holloway?
Well, aren't they really strapped right now, cap-wise? Like,
strapped.
I think this is, hear me out here. So maybe he's thinking about the trade deadline potentially, and this maybe allows Edmonton to have more room to make moves during the season. Because if you do, match the offer sheet, now you're even, more strapped than you are heading into day one of the season. So, listen, are Holloway and Broberg like the biggest pieces of that team? Not really. I mean, they're good players. They're contributors, but they're not like the make or break players that are going to make the Oilers a team that gets over the hump, right? So, I think for him to kind of back off allows Edmonton to assess the team they have at the start of the year and then look for those pieces at the deadline. I think maybe it's going to turn out to be a good move. And for a team like the Blues, like, I don't think they had anything to lose in getting these players. Like, St. Louis to me is like one of those teams that's pretty mid right now, right? Like, they're not a team that anyone takes too
mid.
The word mid.
Yeah.
Well, they're not a team that I think anyone looks at as a threat, but they're also not a team that anyone looks at as like they're a for sure bust to not make the playoffs. Like, St. Louis can easily go on a run and like get a wild card spot.
I don't think they're a
I
playoff
don't
team
think they
this year
will. I don't think they will. I don't look at them like they're a playoff team, but I think it's possible that they could do so.
Well, and
I think Bowman to pass on this is maybe, a good move in the long term.
I honestly, all around, I think both GMs did the right thing here. You get two young players in St. Louis that both get a change of scenery. Okay. You didn't give them long-term deals. You're in the middle of kind of a retool in St. Louis. Okay.
Can I add one more thing though?
Go ahead.
Here's what I would say if I were an Oilers fan, because I feel like Oilers fan, and if I was seeing this from a Rangers fan perspective, there's probably a lot of attachment to those two guys, maybe more so Holloway right now. I mean, after you get to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, it's hard to see a new GM step in and not keep those guys, right? Because if you're an Oilers fan, you basically want to keep the exact same team you had that just got you to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. So I get why Edmonton fans right now are freaking out, because if it were my team and a new GM came in and didn't do that with players that I maybe not felt so strongly about, but had a little bit of love for, I'd be pissed off too.
Johnny, the freak out is more over Broberg and not Holloway.
Really?
Everybody was saying
the big size defenseman.
Let Holloway go and keep Broberg. And here's the thing. And I'm glad you said that, because I think you're starting to learn that with a guy like Kaapo Kakko. You can't look at him as the second overall pick.
Do not compare.
I'm just saying the Oilers fans can't look at Dylan Holloway as their high draft choice anymore. He's a player for them. Right? Yeah. He's not a prospect anymore. He's not a draft pick. He's Dylan Holloway, the Edmonton Oiler. But here's the thing. I think both GMs made the right move here. You get, like I already said what I liked about it on the St. Louis side. Now, if you're Stan Bowman in Edmonton, you cannot waste almost $5 million on Broberg. And the reason why, because that's what the offer sheet would have been, is that if you're going to use the $5 million of Evander Kane's, LTIR, which is the only cap space they're really going to have. They have about 150,000 in cap, maybe 250,000 in cap. Kane's going to go on LTIR at $5.25. So they're going to have, let's call it, around $5 to $6 million in cap space. Okay. You look at the D-core for Edmonton right now. It's Ekholm and Bouchard, Nurse and Kulak, Brown and Emberson. Now, I think Emberson's going to make a decent third pair defenseman.
He was a Ranger prospect. He was pretty good.
I liked him. I liked Emberson in Wisconsin, and I think he did some good things when he went to San Jose. I do. I think there's something potentially there with him, but I think you need to use that money to go find a $5 million defenseman that you can count on. Broberg, he might end up being a good player, but he showed in a very, very small sample size that he could do well in the playoffs. Other than that, he spent the whole year basically in the American League and couldn't crack the lineup.
Get Ryan Lindgren as a rental at the deadline.
And listen, you and I both know the way I look at things, and I want to see things over a larger body of work rather than a short spirit. And I know that from my own career because I played some really good games in a really small amount of time, but you got to be able to sustain that to be a high paid everyday National Hockey League player. So I think now Stan Bowman can weaponize that LTIR and go out and find a legitimate number, $5-6 million defenseman. And, maybe there's other moves to be made to fortify your back end. And so I just think Broberg at close to $5 million would have been cap mismanagement. I really do. I think that would have been a poor decision by the Edmonton Oilers. So I like it for both GMs. I wish we saw more of these offer sheets, Johnny. We don't see enough of these. And, maybe this one doing a double offer sheet and having it work, maybe that signals to other GMs that this type of stuff should be more in play. And maybe we'll see, maybe we'll see more of this kind of stuff happen, honestly.
Why is it so frowned upon? Like, is it just bad optics? Like,
I think because it's an old boys club and these guys don't want to piss each other off, honestly. And I don't really believe Ken Holland. I don't necessarily believe Doug Armstrong when he says he would have done it to his own mother. I know that's the line he's going with, but I do think that it's sort of this, like, we don't want to have bad blood with other clubs because you never know when you're going to need someone. You never know when someone's down, someone's out. You go back to Brian Burke and Kevin Lowe with the Dustin Penner stuff back in the day. We're not going to go down that tangent.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, we're not going into it. But think about Kasperi Kokoniemi with the offer sheet with Carolina, with Montreal, and then the retribution back and forth. When you do that kind of thing, you're basically eliminating that team as a trade partner as long as these two GMs remain in place. And GMs probably don't want to be in a situation where they eliminate not just divisional teams, but now teams out of their division as willing trade partners. So, it's funny. Maybe that's a question the next time we have a GM on, like when we had Kyle Davidson on. We didn't ask him that question, but maybe that's a question, Johnny, the next time we have a GM on. And we're going to try to get Danny Briere on here sometime over the next couple of weeks. And maybe we ask him that question. Danny, why don't we see more of these? What is the reason? I don't know the answer, but I wish we did. So, overall, I think Edmonton fans are overreacting a little bit. And I do think they will go out. Look, Tyson Barrie, you could go out and sign Tyson Barrie for $1 million right now, maybe less, maybe $775, right? And you could have him, or, there's a couple of other defensemen still hanging out and veteran defensemen that could probably get you through 3 or 4 months of the season. And do a really solid professional job to kind of put a little bit of a Band-Aid on maybe what you would call a cut and get you closer to that trade deadline where you can really weaponize that LTIR. And you don't have to wait till the trade deadline, especially because Evander Kane could miss the whole season. We really don't know. That's a lot of money, $5.25 million on the cap. That's a lot of money if he does come off the books, and it sounds like he's going to. So
I also think right now on like every sports book, the Oilers are the favorite to win the cup.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, it's still kind of wild. Like, I wouldn't think right now they're the team I'd pick to win the cup next year.
Yeah, I'm not ready to make any predictions like that, but I still am concerned. I always talk about back end. I'm concerned about their back end. And
I don't love it either.
Broberg or not, I'm concerned about their back end. Like, Broberg doesn't make me not concerned about the decor. I'm more concerned if Philip Broberg's making $5 million or $4.58 million, whatever the number exactly was. Yeah, 458. I'm more concerned with that than I am, if he isn't there. So, that's kind of all I have to say on that whole thing, Johnny. And there is one other kind of trade, obviously, that I want to get to before Charlie McAvoy jumps on the show, unless
he said he'll be on in a second, but his iPad was dead, so he's plugging.
Yeah, it's fine. So he'll take a couple minutes. Let's talk about Laine, because one day before the trade happened, Don Waddell came out and said, we're expecting to see Patrik Laine at camp because we don't have a trade partner.
I haven't really looked at Twitter as much lately.
You've been busy. And he came out and he said, we can't find a trade partner. We expect him to be at camp. We want to make it right with him. And we look forward to re-welcoming him into the fold. And then, of course, a day later, Montreal makes this trade happen. Now, I'm going to go to you first, Jonny, and I'm just going to ask you quickly before we bring Charlie into the show, and then we can talk about this a little bit later. Yes or no, good trade or bad trade for the Montreal Canadiens bringing in Patrik Laine?
Amazing trade.
So you like it?
I think they have Patrik Laine to me right now with a team like Montreal, who's like a nothing to lose team, right? Like no one expects them to make the playoffs again next year, I think. And their roster, if you look at the top six, like, I think Newhook was slotted in as the second.
Honestly, I think they've got 3 good lines.
But their top line last year, also second half of the year, like Slavkovsky, Suzuki, and Caulfield, like had a really good second half of the year last year, like pretty strong. So that's something they can build off. And you add Laine in there too. Like they have a lot of scoring threats. Like they'll be a fun team to watch. Again, like I'm not going to pick them to make the playoffs. Charlie can probably talk about it closer because he's in the same division when he gets.
I don't think we're going to bother him with questions about Montreal, but look, let's
rival.
Let's court the Laine conversation. Let's bring in Charlie McAvoy. We can catch this on the back end when we're done with Charlie. But it's good to have you on, man. I mean, look, we got the face of the Boston Bruins joining us in the middle of the summer, fresh off the honeymoon. And so, man, we appreciate your time. How's everything going?
It's going great, guys. Thanks. How's the summer been?
What honeymoon are you talking about, Colby?
There goes the iPad.
I mean, sorry. Yeah.
You went on your honeymoon, Charlie?
I paired it with Pasta's
shit.
Wedding. Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, I saw you've been at where'd you go?
Pasta got married in Croatia, which was unreal. And then we did that on the first half, and then we went to Mallorca right after me and Kyle. Yeah.
Wow, that seems to be a popular spot now too. Everyone's going there now, it seems like.
Oh, we had a great time. It was awesome.
So Charlie, the reason that I knew you were on your honeymoon is because I'm talking to Pando and Joe the other day, and I'm like, because we're talking about all this NIL stuff, and I know those guys have started talking to you about this a little bit, and I said to them, hey, like we got to get on with Charlie, we got to start sitting down with these guys, and he's like, he'll be back from his honeymoon in a week. As soon as he gets back in and starts working out, like we'll set something up. So that's how I knew you were on your honeymoon. Those guys told me that. But how was Pasta's wedding, man? That looked like an absolute riot of a time.
Yeah, it was incredible. They they did an amazing job setting it up over there, and then the cast of characters was pretty great. It was like a Bruins reunion, and then along with a lot of his Czech buddies and some friends from growing up, and it was awesome. Everybody there, we had an amazing time, and it was so cool to be there for such a special day for him.
His suit was sick. I love his suit. I might have to rock one of those the day when my day comes. Hopefully in the next 5 or 6 years, we'll see. I'm at rock bottom right now in dating. But Charlie, you were also at Foxy's wedding too. I'm curious, who's the MVP on the dance floor at those 2 weddings? Who's tearing it up?
I
mean, Andrew posted a pretty funny Instagram slide. He's shirtless. Everyone's tarpless.
Everyone's shirtless. I want to say Revo. Revo stole the show at Foxy's. Yeah. He was MVP.
Revo also stole the show at Shaddy's bachelor party years ago in Ibiza. So
it sounds like it. Yeah,
I believe that Revo would have stole the show.
Yeah, he was a character. He was awesome. Both weddings were incredible, and I was happy to be there. I think Pasta's wedding, we sat down. So right from the church, right after, we're sitting down, and it's right after the cocktail hour, and then like some clouds came in and it started to rain.
Oh no.
So they had like a 30-minute like rain where it was just coming down, no tents, no anything, but they were playing music and stuff. They had a DJ going like that. So everybody got up, went right to the dance floor, and it turned into like a rain party. It was kind of like
that's sick.
Yeah. Like, what are we going to do here? Like, I think, maybe a different crew of people is going inside, and it's kind of like, put a damper on the whole thing, and we just rallied and rose to the occasion. And we had an unbelievable time, and like I said, they did everything incredible. It was a home run.
I actually have a hot seat question for the both of you. Colby, I want your answer too. And I know you're going to hate me for asking you because you hate when I do this, but I've been to like 4 weddings this summer, and I want to know, if you're requested to play one song at a wedding that you think will be a hit in the whole room, what song are you asking for? Because I think Natasha Bedingfield, Unwritten, has made a crazy comeback, and that song has hit at every wedding I've been to this summer. But I don't know if that would play in Pasta's wedding. I don't know if they play that out there.
That's like the techno one that came back, right?
Yeah, it's sick. It's so good.
So good. So good.
Do you have one?
I don't know. Some people would be like, no way. And I think my wife was kind of like this, like, no, it's too outplayed. It's too like, it's overdone. But I love Shout.
Oh, I fucking hate Shout.
Like,
I hate it.
Maybe it's because I like Wedding Crashers so much, but like, but when they do Shout, like if it's a good wedding, it's usually a good time. So
yeah, and I'm always in. I like when they go with the oldies, like some of the old throwbacks, like
Don't Stop Believing.
They'll go like Sweet Caroline, or they'll do like an Earth, Wind and Fire song.
Yeah,
and like song everybody knows, because at a wedding you have like multiple generations of people. So when you go like Earth, Wind and Fire September, or like Let's Groove Tonight, everybody knows every single word.
Let's Groove Tonight is your pick.
You're right. He's on the money. He's on the money. Like, you got to appeal to everybody, right? So you get a little bit for everybody.
Get the grandparents on the floor.
100%.
Everybody gets excited for the throwback.
They only have like 1 or 2 good songs anyway, so you got to play the hits for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some hockey stuff. Charlie, I mean, this summer, it's been a couple fun years in Boston, but Florida Panthers, they seem to get the best of you guys each year now. But I'm going to ask you a question that you're probably going to hate, but I'm curious how you're going to respond to it. I don't know if you caught it, but the footage came out in the Oilers locker room after Game 7 when they lost in the Stanley Cup final, and people are reacting to it like, wow, that must be like the worst thing in the world. And I know you've been in that room before and have felt it. And then you kind of fast forward a couple years, you guys lose in Game 7 to Florida. Does it all just feel the same no matter what round, no matter how you lose, or is the Game 7 of the Cup final really just like that much different? And I hate asking you this question, but I feel like I would be doing a disservice by not asking to just feel the energy of that room and what it feels like.
What would you think?
I mean, I knew how it would sound, but like, to me, growing up, every loss was the same. If you had
any common sense in the world, what would you think hurts more?
Every loss was
losing in
the
Game
same
7
to me,
of the
though.
Stanley Cup final, or losing in Game 7 of the first round?
But that first round was so different,
Charlie, you can come on our show whenever you want if you're going to give him shit like this. And I can just
I have to. I've known Lazzy for too long, but
but you know what I'm saying, though, like that first round.
I mean, yeah, when your season comes to an end, it's the worst because you ultimately fell short. But when you're that close that you can taste it, and I saw that tweet and I scrolled right past it because I don't need to see it. I don't want to see it. I've seen it firsthand. Like, it's devastating. That's the lowest point that I think I'd ever been in, and I'm sure those guys would say it. As far maybe, I mean, hopefully not in overall life, but in your sporting, in your career, right?
Yeah.
That's the lowest you can be. And it sucks. And it was really cool how they came back and made it exciting for everybody to see them drag it all the way to 7 in a game where anything can happen. But yeah, whoever loses that game it's devastating. You got the shortest summer of everybody, and not a lot of time to recover and really get your head around it before your camp starts in a couple of weeks. So it's tough. It's really tough.
I also wanted to clarify, the question was more about the clip, and if you had watched it, then the what hurts more.
Johnny, I
could take a stab at it. Let me guess. No one said anything, and it was pretty mute in the room, and there's probably a lot of tears shed. And
I was surprised they even posted.
That's what it looks like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I can tell you, Charlie, like, I was a black ace in 2011. I was one of the last couple remaining. And it's funny because in the locker room after that game in Vancouver, Don Sweeney came up to Matt Barkowski and myself and Jordan Caron, and he's like, I'll see you guys at development camp in 2 weeks. And Charlie, we looked at each other and we were like, and you know, Sweens, like he's a pretty serious guy, right? There's not a lot of laughing, not a lot of smiling. And we looked at each other like, as we're all like holding bottles of champagne, like, is he fucking with us right now? Now, thank God he was messing with us and he didn't make us come back. But it's funny because look, we had this moment, the three of us that were kind of the remaining Black Aces, and Trent Whitfield was one of the others who I know right. Yeah. So you know Witter, he's a coach in Providence. And we were like, thank God these guys won. Imagine doing this all summer and not winning. And
they were just making it worse now.
Going till June 15th. No, listen, I understand.
I didn't even think of that too, because like you got to get on a flight back to Boston, and it's either going to be the best flight you've ever been on or the worst flight. And I guess Edmonton had to go a long ways back to Edmonton after. I can't imagine that was an enjoyable.
Well, look,
flight.
if I had
dog barking,
it's all right. Listen, this is a very dog friendly show, Charlie. My golden retriever, who I don't know if you know this or not, but Grizz.
Turn these things down. I can't even see myself. Yeah, you guys both have Goldivas, right?
Yeah, they're brothers. So
I knew that.
They're like
and I
twins.
think Ryan Donato has one too.
So Teddy and Oliver are like twins. Like you can't. One time, Grizz's girlfriend posted a picture, and my wife sent it to me, and she's like, Colby, like, I think that's Oliver. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, that's our sofa. And it was a picture that I had sent Grizz, and Grizz must have sent it to his girlfriend. And then you know how sometimes when you send people photos, it just ends up in your album and you never saved it. Yeah, and she put it out on like a photo dump on Instagram, and I was like, oh wow, Teddy, they're twins. So we're dog friendly on this show. I always see your social media. We know that you're a big dog guy. Even didn't you have some like dog treats or like something going on in Boston?
Yeah, he's got the rocket fuel. We got Polka Dog, the stores right here in Boston. They're awesome. We have a little collab with them.
My sister's dog loves it. He has it. He has some.
Some rocket fuel. I'll send you some more.
Yeah, that's awesome. But so I want to talk a little bit about you in Boston, Charlie, because like it's funny, like you're this New York kid, and it's like widely out there that you were a Ranger fan, and where you grew up and everything like that. But I said it to start the show, like you've become one of the faces of the Boston Bruins and one of these core pieces that came in. And like, I remember, I think maybe like your freshman year early at BU, I came to Aganis. I think I was still playing at the time in the American League, and I came to watch a game, and, you made a play, like a backdoor seam play. And I remember turning to Craig Billington, who was the assistant GM of the Avs at that time, and he looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, that kid's a little different than everybody else, huh?" And like Grizz was an unbelievable All-American. I know, he had an awesome run, and then after the game, Quinny said to me, he's like, "Yeah, that guy, he's going to be a star." So you have your run at BU, you walk right into the National Hockey League in the playoffs, and you've never looked back, and you've really become. Like, people associate Charlie McAvoy with the city of Boston now, right? Is that something that you wear with a lot of pride and you realize like that's a big deal? Like, you are one of the faces of the Boston sports scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously all of it's been a blessing. It's been crazy to look back on and try and think about where the time's gone, but I've enjoyed every step of the way and. It's really been special. I mean, my time at BU was awesome. We had some of the most talented teams in the country both years. And, as you know,
shit on us.
It is hard to win in college. It really is. You got to have that perfect blend of talent, skill, toughness, of age, mostly luck. Depth, like all of it. And then luck is probably the biggest one that puts it all together in a one-game tournament at the end of the year. And Hockey East, even semis and finals are just one game. So it's it's tough. Beanpot one game, all the biggest things that you play for, like if you don't have it on that one night, you're not winning the trophy. So it was tough, but I had a lot of great memories in school and I loved every second. And then I got really lucky. After my freshman year was when I got drafted. So it was sort of like I came there as a 17-year-old kid and I never left. After
and you still train there too, right?
Yeah, I moved here right away after my sophomore year. I left and played in A and then in the playoffs. I ended up getting an apartment that year with Grizzy and Jimmy Beasy for the summer. Mm-hmm. So that was like
in the Seaport, right?
In the Seaport, yeah.
Yeah,
we were
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were like, all right, what do we do? We're pro hockey players now. Like, what does this look like? And then I got acclimated. I've been going to BU since then, and I've stayed there. That's where I train in the summer. Obviously, I met my wife at BU my freshman year, and she's from Massachusetts, so my life is
Charlie's wife is Sully's daughter. For those of you that don't know that, his father-in-law is the coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just to put that information out there to those who don't know.
Yeah, it was wild. He was in Wilkes-Barre the year that I met Kylie, and then I think it was around Christmas time. I think they made a switch and goes on to win the Cup that first year, and obviously they went back to back. But it was incredible to see the success that he's had, and then obviously now it's different getting to play against him and stuff. But it's all unique, and they're an amazing family.
I also still think, just while we're talking about BU, you've had a lot of sick pictures obviously taken of you in your NHL career, but that picture of you and Keller 5 feet in the air jumping after your overtime goal against Nodak is still
I remember
one of the
that
coolest
game.
things. Yeah, I remember watching that on TV and I was like, oh my God, what a fucking play. That was
it's up in the locker room. Yeah, that was Kel's, man. What a play. That was unbelievable. It was that was just pure elation. I didn't know what to do. I just jumped right into him. It was so perfect. It was so cool. It was in Fargo against Nodak.
Yeah.
Sea of green, you couldn't even
neutral site. That's
neutral site, right? We're the tops. We were a higher seed, and we had to go to Nodak to play them.
Well, and North Dakota, they've always got a pretty big chip on their shoulder. So there is something special about beating that team in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Beating BC's great, Michigan, but North Dakota, you don't see them that often. I remember watching that game and look, you can see I have the Bean Pop banner and I have other stuff up and around me. I had a couple cups of coffee in the National League, but I don't have a team in the NHL. So my team is BU.
Haven't turned the page.
Played with Pando. You obviously played for Pando. Joey Pereira was one of my roommates at BU. He was in our room group of our class. So it's so fun to see now Quinny and Sully are coaching together. I thought that was such an awesome. I mean, they're like doppelgangers, right? So now you're going to put them on the bench with each other. They're going to have the thickest accents in the NHL on one bench between those two. But it is it's awesome to see. And you and Grizzy and all the guys having so much success right now. It's a hell of a good time right now for our program and for our alumni. I think you guys
it's awesome. We come back there. We have every year. We have a pro group that works out there. So it's a bunch of BU guys and then a lot of guys from everywhere else. We open up the doors to everybody. So obviously, Aganis, the facilities are unreal. And I have so much pride in being there too, and how much I love my time and getting to see Pando, Kimmer, Joe, all those guys. They come into the gym all the time. It keeps me into it. I'm not too familiar with the players now. But I see them in there and I meet them all summer because they're obviously, summer 1, summer 2, guys are coming in and out. So it's cool. You feel like you're still involved and you share in the same experience as all those guys. So it's cool. We have a great time going over there.
Kind of going into this season too, does the group right now this summer feel different than years before? Because the faces are starting to change. There's some younger guys coming in. Is this a different feeling for you going into next year? And you're probably going to have another new D partner, right? In Zadorov. I assume that's what it's going to be. I don't know if you've talked to him or if that's been decided. But I'm curious, what it feels like right now to be a Boston Bruin.
Yeah, honestly, I'll tell you, it feels great. I think we've always had such a good culture, and that
it's so seamless every year.
Every year, since I've been here, we've played in the playoffs, and we've been in a position where most of the time we're not really squeaking in. We're establishing ourselves in the regular season, which makes it a little less stressful. And we come together, we play our game, and I guess seamless has been a pretty good word to describe what it's been like. And obviously, with all the changeover and you know, no more Z when that happened, and then no more Bergie, no more Kretsch, no more Tukes. Like, there's been legends and guys that are going to be hanging in the rafters that have left the team, and we've kind of just picked up where we left off a little bit. And last year, no one expects really anything from us, and not even to make the playoffs really. And we almost win a President's Trophy, and we went on a really good run. And like you said, I think the most exciting thing is that a lot of us are either young or entering a prime, you know, with the exception of, you know, maybe Marshy, but he's your leader who puts his heart on.
He still got it.
And he's still got it. And he drives the bus and pulls us all forward. So it's a special group. I think we made some great additions this year, and that's something that we've always been dedicated to. Like, Sween's doing a great job and going out and putting the best roster together that we can put. Yeah. So I think this year I'm really excited at everything. I think the potential that this team has is huge. And I think last year in the little playoff run that we had, I think that it was really good for some guys that hadn't played in it. And then, you know, for guys that have to sort of, you know, keep building on what we've established, and then also to just see where we can grow.
I just got to add one thing, Colby, because I know you want to jump in, but I got to say, Charlie was like my first friend, I think, that made the NHL. And I want to publicly apologize because, you know, I was the asshole who texted him, hey, can I have 4 tickets to the game tonight? Like my sophomore year at UMass, he goes, what do you think, I'm made of money? Like, not knowing that the players pay for tickets. But, you know, like the guy Charlie is, he actually got the 4 tickets. And we're in the family room after the game, and Marchand and like Bergeron walk in and go, what's up, Chucky? And I'm like, dude, that's so sick. Like, you know, like, I'll never forget like hearing them refer to you, because, like, you know, I knew the 16-year-old goofball Charlie McAvoy. It was really cool.
And that was the same thing that happened when I showed up. Like, I'm looking around the room that first day that I got to Boston, and the playoff game tomorrow. I'm like, Mr. Chara, Mr. Bergeron, like all these guys, like, you know. Yeah. And then it's crazy just how quick they bring you into the fold, and it's like,
yeah,
you know, there are no rookies, there's no vets. It's just everybody's like this, and obviously that's not true, but everybody makes you feel that way. Like, you were like Rowan Gardner walking into the Cubs locker room for the first time. Gardenhose.
Yeah, but it's look, you had an immediate impact on the team, Charlie. So it's easy. Like, when a guy's so good, you want to make him feel comfortable. But like, I'll go one further. I came in at the end of the season after being traded there, and within the first day or two, the most friendly players to me, you know, with a week left in the regular season, getting called up from the American League were Recchi, Chara, Bergie. Like, these were the guys that extended like the olive branch. Like, I know you don't know anyone around here. You probably are a deer in headlights, but you're right. They want you to feel comfortable right away. Like, on the plane, yeah, I sat with Tim Thomas, and like, I don't know, I didn't have a problem with that. Maybe the guys were messing with me by making me sit with Tank, but still, like, it's definitely, there's something to the Bruin culture that I got to experience on a small scale. But
are we comparing here?
They take care of you even if you're a nobody versus even if you're a star player as a young guy, and I think that's why, you know, Sweens goes out and he brings Reamer in, he brings Shaddy in. Like, they surround the team with character players that are going to usher in the Patras and the Brazeau and like all those young guys. Like, they give you a little bit of help almost with the leadership group.
Yeah, they definitely do. And you're spot on. You've seen it. Like, those guys have established something, you know, like that, and how important it is to just treat everybody, you know, make everybody feel at home right away. And then that's how you can get the best out of everybody. So everybody just takes care of each other. And yeah, I mean, you nailed it. It's really a special group to be a part of.
Well, my last Bruins question that I have for you is actually, I guess now it's a Penguin question, but, you know, I got to ask you about Matt Grzelcyk. I mean, you guys have been kind of riding together for a long time here. I know, you know, I think he, you know, between maybe in the American League, you might have missed each other for a few hours one day or something like that, but you guys have pretty much played together for a long time here. And going back to college, you both come through the U.S. national team. Like, there's just so much symmetry there. You know, that's tough. Like, I assume you're saying bye, you know, to a really, really good friend of a really, really long time. And, you know, I'm going to root for him in Pittsburgh now, being with Sully, being with Quinny, all these BU guys. But How hard is that for you to say bye to a guy like that?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. And I guess it's sort of the nature of the game and of pro sports in general. But yeah, ever since the moment I met him coming into BU, I remember I always thought he was coming in thinking that he was like this larger than life figure. I'm 17 and he's the captain and he's an All-American and he's unbelievable. And you've seen what he'd done. And then right from there, just getting to know him as a guy. And, you know, he's been my best friend for a long time now. And, you know, you can only establish that relationship with the continuity that we've had, which is playing at BU for a year. And then, like you said, you know, touching base a little bit, but 6 months later, I was with him in Prague, and we're playing together again. And then he comes up right after camp. I want to say he went down for a minute and then came right back up and then never looked back. So we've been together for every single step of the way, for all the wins, all the losses, and everything in between. And
the Bruce Cassidy years,
Bruce Cassidy years.
I was waiting for that to come up.
The whipping boy years.
Yeah, we've been through it all together, and it really it was amazing. And, you know, obviously it makes me really sad to see him move on, but, you know, I understand, you know, just the business of hockey, really. And mostly I'm excited for him to go somewhere and have an opportunity. He's going to be playing with someone really good on his right side. And he's going to be playing for two guys that I know think the world of him. And all you could do for a guy like Grizz is just root for him, because he's such an unreal guy. So I'm rooting for him, and he knows that. And, you know, I'll definitely be keeping tabs on him.
Something I got to ask about with last year's team too, and I don't know if you're still like, I know Charlie, like you loved Twitter like when we were younger. I don't know if you still look or care or pay attention, but every day on our show in the playoffs was Swayman or Ullmark, who's gonna start? Like in the first round, like that was, you know, what everyone was talking about. Was that ever like a funny joke or conversation in the room? Like how much people cared? Like it doesn't make a difference for you guys usually, right? Like you trust the guy in net.
Yeah, you trust the guy in net, and you're going to play as hard as you can for him. So it didn't really matter, and we had faith in him. And like, look, you have the up-and-coming stud versus the Vezina Trophy winning stud. So it was like
two-headed monster.
Yeah, there wasn't a bad option. And we knew that, and we knew that whoever was going to get the nod, that we were going to just do our jobs in front of him with complete faith in either. You know, and obviously it played out how it did, and that's another avenue where we've sort of seen a fork in the road, and another guy that we're going to miss. You know, but another guy that's really easy to root for, and we'll be rooting for him and to have all the success in the world.
Can you believe though how much people like how much of a conversation it was? Like it was crazy.
I mean,
including us.
Yeah, but I mean that's the job, right? Like that's just sport fans in general. I mean, I still will do Twitter. I don't tweet anymore. Yeah, but there's certain people I follow that I like to see, and Instagram is more my thing. You know, even that I should probably post more than I do, but that's pretty much my two avenues of social media now. But I always try and avoid all that, because it's like there's people that love you, there's people that hate you, there's people that think all these things, and it always comes back to sort of just the man in the arena talk. Like unless you're living it every day, unless you're in the room, you don't really understand. And even like with me, like I'm stuff that goes on around the league in other rooms, like I can't pretend that just because I play in the league that I know what's going on or that I have an opinion on the matter. So it's not like, you know, I think you just sort of understand that everyone's doing a job and everyone's trying to do the best they can at it. So,
well, look, your general manager better get to work over the next couple of weeks, because there's a notable player that needs a new contract, and he plays a pretty important position. And I got to tell you, Charlie, like as we get closer to training camp and we go back to doing our show live every morning, we're going to be talking a lot about that. If that goaltending position isn't signed, and you know, hopefully that gets done, because, and I'm sure it will, by the way. But I mean, he is just such a tremendous goaltender. And watching him in the playoffs was look, I'm a hockey fan first and foremost, and it is a pleasure. Like, you will buy a ticket to watch that guy play, you know, amongst other players, but that goaltender that you guys have in Boston, Swayman. I mean, that he is unbelievably talented. And I think with more games, you know, he's just going to continue to get better and become an even bigger name. And I'm not going to be shocked to see him, you know, with you at the Olympics here coming up in what do we got? 2 years, 2 seasons until the Olympics. And, you know, maybe even the 4 nations to whatever we're calling the first international tournament. I don't know exactly what we're calling, but that's certainly a topic that people like Jonny and I will be talking a lot about here over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, obviously it's going to be a hot talking point. Sway's unbelievable. He's got to compete to him, and obviously he's got all the potential in the world to be really one of the best goaltenders in the league. Playing in front of him is awesome. You see every single day just how much he loves it. He loves the game. He loves to compete.
He seems like the happiest guy ever.
He works incredibly hard.
Yeah.
He has fun. He has fun doing something that he loves and he's really good at. And honestly, it's pretty refreshing when you come to the rink and you just see him, like, because he's one of those guys that sort of brings everybody up around him. Really easy to play for and root for. And yeah, I mean, I have faith in both sides to figure it out. I've gone through it when I was going through my bridge deal, where I missed like a couple minutes of camp. I think I might have been a day or two. Like, you go through these processes and you know, they're all unique in their own way, but everybody has a job to do on both sides.
Yeah.
You know, and I have faith in both parties to figure it out.
I just got like 1 or 2 more for you, Charlie. We don't want to keep you too long. We really appreciate your time, seriously. But you know, I also like want to shout out Bruins like social media. I think Elaine is who runs it. Right?
Yeah.
She's awesome. Like, you guys do such an incredible job. Seriously, it looks like you guys have almost like embraced the modern age, right? And like have fun with it. And you know, for me, it's enjoyable. Hopefully, for like the younger fans, it's enjoyable too. But like, you know, another guy I just wanted to ask you about too, who like always has fun with it, whose face I always see on it, is Charlie Coyle. And I know like you're a big movie quote guy. He seems like a big movie quote guy. I feel like he's one of the more underrated personalities like in the NHL. Is there another guy in the locker room that like you could think of who loves to throw a quote around? Like, what's your favorite one too these days?
Charlie is definitely that guy for me. He's hysterical.
Sandler guy, right?
Well, yeah, we have the same exact sense of humor, so it's hysterical. Like, every conversation can come with a Sandler quote. And, he keeps me on my toes. He's the Austin Powers too. He's got it all. We got the same sense of humor, so it's great to get along with him, and it's easy, and he's an amazing guy too. So it's been fun to have him come in, and he's been a great Bruin since he's been here. I think for other people, there's a lot of characters in that room.
When Marchand stole a fan's phone and like walked down the tunnel with it,
yeah,
that was the coolest thing ever. Yeah.
He's a character too, man, and he puts it on display, and everybody can see it. And then there's the stuff you don't see behind the scenes. It's equally just as funny. Yeah, he's awesome, man, because he's so good in the room, and he's a guy that every day he brings it, and it's in all aspects, on the ice competing, or it's one-liners, or it's funny. Like, he's just always there, and he's present, and yeah, he's great, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, Colby, one of the funniest things ever that I remember about Charlie, we used to run like sleds every Friday night. Like, that was something our coach Bob Thornton made us do as kids. We all like hated it when we were younger.
Field.
Yeah, it was brutal, but like we all had fun doing it.
Were you a Long Island Goal or a Royal? What were you guys?
Goal.
I was Long Island Goals.
But that was Rockets.
He was in '96, so he was a year older than me. But you played goals.
I played everywhere. Goals, Royals.
You played everywhere, yeah. We didn't get together until we were playing like elite hockey group stuff with Bob Thornton, and then he was on the Moose when I was on the Rockets.
Rivalry.
He came to the Rockets the year that I left. Yeah, we had a rivalry all year.
Wow, you were a Jersey Rocket, huh? No way.
I was
I didn't
a
know
Jersey
that.
Rocket. And we like hated each other, but I was like, wait, I actually know this kid. He's pretty funny. So I don't want to hate the Moose.
How could you hate Jonny? He's such a like innocent, like happy.
We had like an actual rivalry. Like,
no, it was real. Like, it was real. Craig Reeves was my coach, Colby.
But doesn't he have to be like at a certain level of good to be your rival, Charlie? Like, what am I missing?
Good, and he was good. This was junior B. We were all standouts. Didn't take much to be a standout.
The story I wanted to tell, though, Charlie, I don't know if you even remember this, but like it's something that I have just planted in my brain with you. We were quoting The Campaign all summer. Like that was our movie that we were watching.
with Ryan Swain too.
Yeah, with Swainer, and I think even like Deeber too. But
yeah, Deebs.
Charlie's running sleds, and Bob is screaming, push it," and Charlie stops and looks at him and goes, push it real good. Like the line from Zach Galifianakis. Funniest thing ever.
Lift and shake.
It was so good.
I watched that movie too not too long ago because I hadn't seen it in so long, and it's still so stupid, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
So wait, when did you play Junior B for the Rockets? Is this before NTDP? Like when was this in like your chronological order?
Okay, yeah. So I played U14 Gulls, and that was we had a really good team. We had like Bracco and Foxy was on that team.
Jeremy Bracco, right? He was a national kid, right?
Yeah, we were good. And after that year, I wasn't on like too many radars really. Like our team had a lot of guys that were better than me at the time. And then I got like I grew. I hit my growth spurt that summer, and then I remember on Long Island it was Ryan Hitchcock and this kid Danny Willett, and they both played in New Jersey. They played for the Rockets, so we had heard about it. Like you take the train there into Newark, you go to the Peru, like, but you'll play for this guy, and you can play there and like make it. You know, those guys are both going D1, so
they're like the first kids our age to commit.
And then Kevin LeBanc did it the year before, so like there was a steady like couple years of guys that did it, and you're like, okay, this is an avenue where like the hockey on Long Island isn't that great,
right? So
I got to get off Long Island, and this is like about as far as I think I can go without having to move. Mm-hmm. So we would do it. We took the train every day. I would take it from Long Beach to Penn Station to Newark, and I played that year
with your gear,
with your bag,
my bag, yeah. And it was a grind, but like it was great because the guys that I played with, it might have been one of the funnest years of hockey I ever had. Like I was 14, turning 15, and I was playing with guys that were 20, turning 21, and it was like it was hysterical. Like you grew up a lot, like, you know, learned a lot, had a lot of good times. We were on the bus to everything. We were always coming up here to play like New England Sports Center and all that, tournaments. Like, so yeah, that year was so much fun. And we played against Laz that year because he was playing for the Moose. And we ended up winning the league, which was sweet, and got to go to nationals. But I wasn't there because I made it to the 40 camp.
Which is crazy, by the way, that you guys won and you weren't even there.
Yeah, in between games, I'm like checking scores. My dad came out to Ann Arbor, and I'm like, how'd they do? Like, how'd we do? We won the whole freaking thing. We won the league, so we got to go to nationals the week after. But it was a great year. Yeah, that was 14, 15. Then I went to Ann Arbor.
So you didn't pull a Reamer. I'm pretty sure Reamer didn't come to our 40-man camp, Charlie, because he was playing for Brick, which was like tier 2 youth hockey, and they had like a whatever nationals or something the time of the 40-man camp, and he just didn't come. Now he still made the team anyway because he was, you know, I mean, he ends up going second overall for a reason. I mean, he was there, you know. If Kaner was old, you know, Kaner's an 88. So if Kaner's older, Reamer's the first overall pick in our draft. So, you know, I don't even think he came, and he still, I mean, they were putting him on the team anyway. This kid who's like 6'4" and, you know, can skate and stick handle. But that's interesting. Where did the Rockets? So like I grew up playing against the Rockets being from Philly, or the Philly area, but we would play them up in Bridgewater. That was where they played.
Yeah, they used to be hockey there.
This is junior Rockets, so like, it was
junior
different.
Rockets.
Yeah,
like so we played in the Metro Junior Hockey League, the MJHL, which isn't even a thing anymore.
No,
but, yeah, I would say
wasn't a thing when I was.
I didn't have that luxury as a junior. I didn't get invited to the camp to start, so I got a call like the day before that like someone had gotten hurt, and they were like, "You want to come?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go." Of course.
It's actually an incredible story, honestly. It is.
That's
so it was sweet. And
I didn't know that.
And then I ended up going and making it. It was pretty wild. It was like
more than making it, I would say.
4 days of just like from finding out that something opened up and you can go to then like that Sunday morning or whenever it ended, you're leaving there knowing you're going back next year. It was pretty sweet.
Who was your coach in Ann Arbor?
I had Donnie Granato.
Oh wow, awesome.
Don Granato, and I had Nick Four, and Nick Four is now the head coach. He's been with the program forever, but he was usually the assistant. A lot of guys came in and have come and went now, and he was the assistant, and then he's gotten his chance now as the head, and he's an awesome guy, a great coach. So I was really rooting for him, and I'm happy he got the head job. Yeah.
Were you a Pie High or a Huron guy?
I was Pie High, but I lived closer to Huron. My billet brother went to Huron, so I'd have to drive at like 6 a.m. or whatever. We had to leave the house at like 6:40 because I think it was 7:30 was like first period or something, and we lived a half
first
hour.
period. I haven't
lived a half hour ever from Pie High.
Well, it's big. Oh. I mean, look, I was Huron. Most of our team was Huron. And I remember Shaddy lived right by the ice cube and went to Huron, and same thing for him. It was like a 40-minute commute to him to get to school every day. He's as close as you can be
to Pie High. I don't know what was all, but he just probably wanted to be with the boys.
Well, he was because he lived with Perry Pericos. I don't know if you ever met Perry, the guy who owns the Jug and all those bars in
no way.
Yes, of course, Shaddy.
I don't know him, but I know the Jug.
Does that surprise you though that's who Shaddy's billet was? I mean, come on, that checks out, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh.
All right, Chucky, we don't want to hold you too long. I just got one more to wrap it up. Colby kind of alluded to it before. What is the most like Boston thing about you now these days?
What's the most Boston thing?
I mean, you're almost on a decade in Boston now. Like,
I know, I am. I don't know. Maybe like going to the Cape. Appreciation for the Cape, I guess.
Where do you go on the Cape?
I've kind of just embraced like everything in Boston. I hold out on the Pats because I can't do it. I love my Giants.
So you won't do the lighthouse thing ever?
Oh no, I don't want that. I love my Giants and I always will. But I'll still go to Patriot games and stuff, and I'll root for them while we're there. But
what's your
Charlie? I root for the Celtics. Root for I wasn't really a big baseball guy going up, so the Red Sox take really good care of us. They always get us tickets and stuff. So I'll go there root for the Red Sox. We got to see them when they won it in 2018. I think we went to 2 of those playoff games, and it's sweet. We had got to see that whole run. They always are so nice and hospitable. So it's easy to root for all these teams in the city. That's probably the biggest thing is cheering for everybody.
I mean, what's your confidence level in
big one of these if you're from New York?
I got to know though, what's your confidence level in Danny Dimes? Because I'm an Eagles fan and I miss, I miss the day of, good Eagles Giants games. I mean, the amount of money that's changed hands between Shaddy and I over the years on those games, but they were always great games. Both teams were so good, and the Giants have just stunk. And I want them to be good. It's more fun when those games are good, but I don't know, man. Danny Dimes is looking like he's up to his old tricks so far in preseason.
Preseason, throwing a couple picks. I turned it the other. I said, he's a gunslinger, man. He's throwing it downfield. Something to be excited about. I don't know. I mean, what am I obviously I'm rooting for them. I hope they're good. Realistically, my expectation is that I don't know if I have one. The Eagles are really good. I think this could be their year. And they got Saquon too, which breaks my heart. But the NFC East is wild year after year. How many guys change hands? It's no one ever leaves the division. If you played for the Eagles, you go to the Redskins. If you played for the Giants, you go to the Eagles. The Dallas goes to Philly. They all just kind of roll over each other's talent. But I mean, if they're not good, if Danny's not good, then hopefully we get the first overall pick. But if he is good, then that's great for him. And I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for the Giants.
Well, Deion Sanders' kid is a quarterback. Looks like he could go 1 overall. So that could be. That would be so cool. Imagine him in New York. Could you imagine that? That could be a disaster, though. Wow.
I know, man. That would be wild. We're the thing with the Giants that's so frustrating is that we've been when we had the 1 year that we were good, but when we're bad, we're always just good enough that we're outside the top 5. We're always 5 or 6 or 7. You're never 1 or 2 where you're going to get the 2 best quarterbacks. It's usually sometimes it's all 3 of the first picks as quarterbacks. We're always right outside of there. We can't get that one, but we'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, really appreciate your time. Seriously, my old man also sends his best. He's one of your biggest supporters.
Tell him I said hello, please.
I will. Say
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
We'll talk soon, Charlie. We're all getting together soon for this NIL conversation, just to put it on your radar. So we'll talk soon.
Come to Boston. We'll do it here.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to maybe get the group of you guys together, do a dinner or something, and go through some of the stuff. All right.
It'd be a great time. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your time.
All right,
thanks, Charlie. Talk to you soon.
See you later.
Bye. Awesome guy. Dude, I'm still thinking about my first fucking question and how dumb that came out. Like,
I love
it rattled me. It rattled me.
I love that he just shit right on.
As he should have.
I was like, this is so music to my ears. He's starting the conversation, taking a shot at you.
I'm happy he did.
But look, we talked all year about how, like, if you and I are building an NHL team, like this guy's a top, top 5 pick in the league if you're starting a team, because of everything that he brings and everything that he does. So great job getting him to agree to come on, especially coming right off of his honeymoon. Make sure you give him a big thanks from us, Johnny.
I didn't realize that he was on his honeymoon.
Yeah, he was. And so look, I want to see that guy win a Stanley Cup. He's one of the most entertaining players to watch. He's got old school, he's got new school. He plays the game rough and like he's everything you want in your number one guy. And so we'll be keeping our eyes on him all season, obviously.
You know what I'm really happy he didn't bring up, which I thought he might have said because you would shit on me. The year I played against him when I was on the Moose, that was the year I played for Craig Doremus, by the way. He was my coach. So Craig would always like print out like Charlie's tweets, like all the Rockets tweets, like calling us like we're going moose hunting tonight. Like that's like it was a Twitter battle. Like that's what it was. And Craig would like print the tweets out and hang them in our stall. But the number I wore that year I wore 66 as my number, and I don't think that's a frowned upon number to wear.
I'm not going to beat you up about it because from what I understand at that level, you were a skilled player, you were a scorer. And look, I don't have a problem with guys wanting to wear numbers for players that they love. I mean,
but it's an interesting debate though, because like 99, anytime you see someone wearing 99, you think, what a fucking loser, right? But 66 is like almost in that, but it's not.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Look, you're not getting the reaction you thought you'd get out of me.
Yeah, I thought you'd freak out. Yeah.
So great conversation with Charlie. It's good to talk to him.
He's the best.
Before he came on, we were talking about Montreal. We were talking about Laine. You love the trade for Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm with you. I think there's a lot of upside here. Look, it's $8.5 million in cap hit for 2 seasons, I believe. Vic, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, if it's 1 or 2 seasons on the cap hit. It is 2. Never mind, Vic. You already gave us that. He hasn't played in a while, so he hasn't been on the ice. But you got to think he's going to be playing with Marty St. Louis, who seems to be a guy who can get the best out of every player. Jordan Harris, good prospect, but
good college player.
But look, Lane Hudson, this probably opens the pathway for Lane Hudson to be a regular right away.
Sneaky Calder pick, Lane Hudson.
I hope that happens. I think you're right. I think that's a guy that if he's in the National League, which he should be, I think you're going to see him in the Calder running. But I'm kind of with you. Like, you gave up Jordan Harris, but you got a 3rd-round pick back. You got Laine. You took the $8 million in cap space. You could afford the cap space, so they weaponized it. So I give Jeff Gorton a lot of credit here, and I think if Kirby Dach can get his game in order, you're talking about 2 really, really high-end offensive lines for that team with some solid guys on the back end. And look, I don't think Montreal is a playoff team, but I don't think they're a lottery team again. They got Demidov, who some people think was one, after Celebrini, after Celebrini was the next most talented player.
Is he going to play? Is he going to make this team?
Who, Demidov?
Yeah.
I don't know if he can contractually. I have no idea. Like, there's so much different shit you read about these Russian kids. Even the Michkov situation, like, it wasn't real until he showed up in Philadelphia. Like, it's just, and now there's a whole nother situation going on in Philadelphia with the goaltender who doesn't want to come back, on top of the Johansen situation, which we'll get to at the end of the show here. But just kind of wrapping up our thoughts here, I'm with you, Johnny. Like, if this guy can score 30 goals for you, which it seems like that's who he is, but
I don't know if that's an automatic. But
I'm not saying that's an automatic. But you know what he said the other day? I don't want to score 30. I'm going to score 50. So
that's what he said.
The kid's motivated to probably prove everyone wrong. And again, you're going to go play for a coach that is going to, be a teammate in like, he's going to pump you up. Like, that's Marty St. Louis.
Well, I also think too, which will benefit Laine is, and you can maybe, well, you definitely can, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like he's still not the guy there. Like, it's still going to be Cole Caulfield's spot on the power play, right? Like, I don't think Laine has taken the, why am I blanking on the phrase? The
flank.
The flank. Yes. Thank you. Like, I don't think Laine is taking that spot away from Cole. Do you? Like, I don't see that happening. And, you look at the roster, like I said, Suzuki, Slafkovsky is still really good. And maybe there's not a lot of sexiness on the back end, but previously, like when Laine was traded to Columbus, like he felt like the guy. And even in Winnipeg being drafted number 2, like it was his team to take over. This still doesn't necessarily feel like it's a move where Laine is their number 1.
No,
guy.
He's so not. He doesn't have to be. It's like when Taylor Hall.
The pressure is almost like a little bit off.
It's like when Taylor Hall went to Boston, and he didn't have to be the guy. He wasn't the focal point. He didn't have to be the shooter. Like, and listen, you're going to find a spot for Laine on your top power play. There's no reason to have him if you're not. But you're right.
Maybe Cole plays a strong side, and Laine plays
is
the
a
flank.
threat, amongst others. So again, I like the work that general managers are doing, and I like the move for Waddell. He clears up $8.5 million. He gets Jordan Harris, who's a quality defenseman. Maybe he's a bottom pair guy, but he's an NHL caliber defenseman, and he's young and he's inexpensive. And so again, both parties in both of these trades and this Oilers situation as well. Like, I think all these guys, I have nothing critical to say, honestly, about any of it. Now, granted, maybe our tones will change in 3-4 months if things aren't going well. But
that's my next question too. Like, if it doesn't go well, like, I don't know if he's like a trade piece, right? Like, he's probably
define
not.
Well. I mean, again, you just said he doesn't have to be the focal point.
Let's say through 30 games, he has 6 goals, 13 assists.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be problematic. If
that's like fine.
Games.
That's like fine. Like 19 points in 30 games isn't terrible.
But, you're in Montreal. There's a lot of media scrutiny. Like, he's going to want to be a 20-goal guy in Montreal to keep his head above water, right? Yeah. At that cap number. You're going to be scrutinized at $8 point whatever million if you're not scoring goals. That's just you're in Canada now, buddy. This is the NFL. It's like the NFL.
Well, he was in Canada before. He was in Winnipeg.
I understand that, but it's different. Montreal. The lights are a hell of a lot brighter than Winnipeg. So the last thing we want to get into today, well, there's a couple of little things. First off, we've got this Philadelphia Flyers situation today where they are terminating the contract of Ryan Johansen, material breach. And I think my understanding of this situation is that
so much drama around this team.
They brought him in, they put him on waivers, and he cleared to go to the AHL. And that's when he raised his hand and said, I have an injury. And I think that's the issue that the Flyers have with this situation, is that this guy basically wouldn't report, and that's breaching contract. And so I have a feeling this will get settled and they'll pay him some money. And I think the goal for the Flyers is to get rid of his cap hit and have some cap flexibility. I don't think it really has to do with money. Flyers have Comcast backing them, so they'll write a check for whatever they got to write the check. They just want the money off their cap.
Yeah. I again, like, I didn't really check Twitter today, so I didn't see what the response was.
Well, the response, Johnny, was from the agent, Kurt Overhart, who is also the agent of.
So they're just thinking he faked an injury essentially to avoid going to the AHL.
I mean, they didn't say that, directly, but that's basically that's again material. Whether they faked an injury or he just wouldn't show up, you know, if you don't show up, you're in breach of contract when you're under contract. So we'll see how this plays out. I like the move by the Flyers. Get this guy's money off your books.
Yeah.
Pay him in a settlement like Corey Perry, but get it off your books. Like Flyers are cap strapped. They're in a rebuild with cap problems. Like very difficult for a general manager to deal with that. I don't know, Vic, if you have the statement from Kurt Overhart from KO Sports, and I'll read it.
Look at that. Right on cue.
Ryan Johansen has a severe hockey injury that requires extensive surgery, which has been scheduled. Okay, scheduled is the key word there. So he hasn't had it. Since being traded to the Philadelphia Flyers, Ryan has worked in good faith with the club, its medical staff, and authorized third-party physicians. The Flyers' attempt to terminate Ryan's contract is disappointing. We've been in contact with the NHLPA, and we will defend Ryan and protect his rights. Now, what else is an agent going to say? Why has he not already had surgery, Johnny? That's a little bit interesting to me. If it's a hip injury, why not have the surgery 3-4 months ago? The whole situation is fishy. I'll tell you right now, there is no love lost between Kurt Overhart, his clients, and the Philadelphia Flyers. And that goes back to Cutter Gauthier, now Ryan Johansen, two ugly situations in Philly. And then the third Flyers situation they're dealing with right now is with their goaltender who they brought over last year, not the big guy, not Fedotov, the other goaltender, I think Kozlov, right? He has decided he doesn't want to play in Philadelphia and wants to be loaned back to the KHL. He's under contract with the Flyers, and the Flyers are like, no, if you want to play, you're going to come play here. Now, to me, it seems like this guy's pissed off because they got the other guy. They gave him a big deal. This guy's going to now have to go play in the American League, make American League money when he could be playing in Russia. Home. Right, making big money. So
I don't blame him.
You know, the rumors about how the Flyers left him in a hotel by himself and they didn't treat him well. I got to tell you, look, you can give the Flyers shit for a lot, but they don't mistreat players. Like the culturally in that organization, the players are not mistreated. They're just
pick them up from the airport.
You saw Danny Briere and Keith Jones carrying sticks and bags with look. Danny Briere and Keith Jones were Flyers. They were really good Flyers. They understand the culture of Philly, what it means to be a Flyer. Bobby Clark is still around. Like, I don't want to hear that they're mistreating players. I don't buy that for 2 seconds. I just really don't. Now, there was a period of time where I forget her name, was running the organization where things got a little out of control, and she's gone. It's Keith Jones and it's Danny Briere now. So I just have a hard time believing a lot of what I think are BS reports about this Kozlov situation, but it's something that's not going away. Like they're going to have to come up with some sort of understanding and because the Flyers have all the cards here, all the cards.
The Flyers and the KHL are probably the newest rivalry in the NHL. Mitch Cobb and Beantown and all these different ofs that the Flyers. That's like my favorite line in Miracle, right? They got
so of course you're telling us your favorite line and your mic cut out and you lost your audio, Johnny. So I guess we're not going to hear your favorite line. But
I'm back now.
It's an interesting time to be a Philadelphia Flyers fan. Like it doesn't seem like there's a dull moment, Johnny.
Yeah, Vic just told me to fuck off. That was funny. But yeah, we do. I mean, do you want to talk about the Matthews captaincy? I feel like now it's kind of late. We were so behind it. Everyone obviously has a
I just think it's insane that nobody's talking about the fact that John Tavares had the C stripped from him. Like it's like this glorious day of Matthews and the torch.
I saw a lot of comments about that.
You just stripped your captain. I mean, let's save it and let's see how they start the season, Johnny. I don't know how much of a fan I am of this move. I really don't, but it's old news. People have already heard about it. They've talked about it. They've debated it. We're going to leave it. It is what it is in Toronto Maple Leaf land. I know there's one more topic we want to get to, but I think you want to talk about our guys at Out West first.
Yep. We love Out West. And I was actually supposed to play golf for the first time in 2 years on Sunday. But of course, it was like this crazy rainstorm. I don't know if you got it over there in Philly, but the streets of New York were like flooded. So I couldn't play golf on Sunday. So it's still been like 2 years since I played. But besides that, I still always wear my Out West clothing when I play pickleball. Big pickleball guy, so I'm always rocking the Out West stuff. And summertime just got a little sweeter thanks to the guys over at Out West. That's right, everybody. As we mentioned earlier this year, Out West has released a brand new collection featuring 2 new hoodies and 6 stylish polos. But here's the catch. Some styles are flying off the shelves faster than expected. So head over to www.outwestgolf.com and use our code Cuppa, CUPPA, in all caps for 15% off of your first order before they're gone. I cannot speak highly enough about this company. Colby's got the hoodie on right now, the salmon colored hoodie. Again, like their polos, their hoodies, everything they have is insanely comfortable. And that's why we rock with them. So go check out outwestgolf.com.
Yeah. So look, there's been some broadcast rumblings and there's been some broadcast news. And I want to start with, giving some love to Sam Rosen, who had announced that he will be retiring after this season. I didn't
40
grow
years.
up, I did not grow up watching Sam and the Rangers, right? But obviously, as I got older, I got to know him a little bit, and then I got to work with him, Johnny. I got to do NHL playoff games with Sam, and talk about the nicest freaking guy in the entire world.
Can I get that footage?
What a good human being that Sam Rosen is, and what maybe my first or second ever playoff game I did with him. Was really nervous. Hadn't done a lot of radio, and he's just such a wonderful guy to work with, Johnny. Like, good for him for having a great run. He's going to have a farewell tour in every city this year. The Rangers have a great succession plan, although nothing's been announced, but I think everybody knows what's going to happen.
You do? I don't know. There's so many guys. Like, I don't.
Nah, it's already done. The two positions are filled.
Think so?
It's a done deal. What's going to happen? So, Rangers fans are going to be in good shape for a while. Mm-hmm. You're not going to miss a beat. I mean, everybody's going to miss it's a power play goal, but you know what? You're going to be in great hands with the two people that are going to fill the roles. Coming on the backside. But just kudos to Sam. Great person, Hockey Hall of Famer, great career.
Such a nice guy.
I will always have the Ranger feed on when I'm watching a Ranger game on Plus. Because I love Sam. Like I want to hear Sam's call. Like and maybe we'll try to get him on the show here in the next couple of weeks.
I would love that.
I'll reach out to him and see if that's something we can organize here. But just love the guy. Can't say enough things about him.
It actually is a shame too, because we recorded our episode with Tony before that news came out. And I've actually heard that Tony does an incredible Sam Rosen impression. So I would have loved to have heard that. But I mean, like, Sam has been super kind to me. Actually, when I went up to him and introduced myself and said, I do a show with Colby Cohen, his face actually lit up. He was happy to hear that, which says a lot about you, even though you hate when I'm nice to you. But yeah, he's been, super friendly, super kind. And hearing his voice in my actual eardrums now, like in the press box, is still something that, like, I have to pinch myself, because I grew up listening to Sam, and now I hear him in my ears at the games.
Dude, that's how I felt the first game I ever called with him. It was like,
it's crazy.
I had him in my headset,
so weird.
And I had to respond to him, and I was a little deer in headlights. Yeah. Seriously, because his voice is such a unique voice and a unique sound. Like, again, I've said this before, Johnny. I've worked with a number of Hall of Fame guys in the NHL. Like, I've been very lucky. And I got to tell you, they're not all great guys. Sam is at the top of that.
I think they'll give him a banner too. I really hope they do.
I think he deserves one.
They'd be doing wrong if they don't.
I think he deserves one. I really do. I think he deserves one.
And I actually want to shout out this guy I follow on Twitter. I think his name is Python on Twitter. Big Ranger fan, but he tweeted like that MSG should have Sam's voice, like, saying it's a power play goal in MSG when they score on the power play.
Yeah,
like,
they might
before the goal song starts.
Yeah,
like, that'd be cool.
They might do something like that. So
he's that much of a legend.
So that's one bit of broadcast news. Bruins got their guy. They hired Judd Surratt. They moved him from radio to TV. Good for Judd. He's a good man. I heard some other names, but again, an easy guy to root for. Big shoes to fill with Jack Edwards in New England. New England loved Jack. I know no one else did, but New England did.
I actually love Jack Edwards. Like, I'm all for the
Homer stuff. Yeah,
I'm all for it. All for it.
Like, well, because you are a Homer for your team.
But But also, when you're doing a regional sports network, like your fans are the ones watching. So
yeah,
like,
I struggled with
to
that.
them.
I
Yeah,
always struggled with that. So, but
the
listen,
Blackhawks suck. Fuck them.
no, I never would say that. But the one thing I'll say about Jack too, like I've said it on our show, he's a great guy. You know,
Yeah.
you can hate him on the air, but if you met him in person, you know, you'd let him watch your kids. Like he's just a nice guy. So that's another one. Rumors swirling around, Johnny, about hockey night in Canada going over to Amazon and who's going to do that. The rumors are Forsling. We heard Thomas Hickey's name thrown in. Wouldn't shock me.
Forslind.
What did I say?
You said Forsling, I think.
Oh, sorry, Forslind.
Forslind.
Hickey's a rising star. Like he's gotten so good so quick. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. They're just rumors right now.
Jody Shelley too, right?
What'd you say?
Jody Shelley as well, I think.
I think it's great that more networks are getting hockey, more different looks. I love that Amazon's getting in. They do NFL now. They're getting into NHL. I think the more different looks we have for the game, the better. And I think it pushes all the networks to do a better job. So those are all, just tidbits that we've missed over the last week or two that we wanted to weigh in on. But I think that's pretty much it, unless you have a final thought or a final word here. That was pretty long here. I think we just went, about an hour and a half, and we'll be back. This episode's going to come out on the 21st, Wednesday. And we'll be back at it next week. And then shit, man, it's Labor Day. And September's here. And when September's here, you got training camps coming. We're going to keep going one day a week until October 1. Then we plan to start live 9 a.m. We'll have the chat back. We also have some really exciting news for you guys. We're going to be having a player join us once a week next year.
Wow,
all
you're doing
season. It. I'm not going to say who.
Okay.
But almost like
Rogers McAfee.
Pat McAfee has Bill Belichick on once a week now, or Pat, he used to do it with Aaron Rodgers, but a dedicated 20-minute once a week. We've got a current player, a multiple Stanley Cup winning player that's going to be joining us. We're not going to announce it, though, until we have him on our episode. We're going to have him on an episode in the next couple of weeks. We'll interview him, and that's when we'll tell you guys who it is. But
we're fucking fired up about it.
People are going to love it. I mean, he's a personality. He's a guy who's going to be willing to say what's on his mind, because he's at the end of his career. Like, what a perfect guy we got. If you have any guesses, tweet him at Johnny, tweet him at me, DM Johnny. We'll, if you guess it, maybe we'll tell you. We probably won't, but we want to know who you think we're talking about. Yeah. But that's going to be really exciting. We're going to have him every week live on the show, 20 minutes, all season long. So that's going to be awesome. That was a lot of your doing, Johnny. So I'll give you a lot of credit for that, for being creative, for initiating it with your agency. So good job on that. And I think that's all we got for today. Right, Johnny?
Yeah, I got some more shout outs I'll give next week, but I'll spare everybody the time this week. But it's good to be back. And I feel like we're almost in the full swing of hockey season again, right? Like we're almost there. It's getting close.
We've got
I'm over the summer. I'm so fucking over it.
5 weeks until we're back live 9 a.m.
Yeah.
5 more episodes, right?
I think so. Yeah. Sounds about right. But yeah, that's all I got. We love you guys. We miss you guys. Big shout out to Pizza Sports Guy in our chat always. Rocco's very kind to me. I was at his shop last week. Always treats me well, even though I shit on the Islanders basically on Twitter last week, and even though I shouldn't have because I'm working the Matt Martin camp this week. But we'll see what happens there. I actually saw your pal today, Colby, at the rink.
Who's my pal?
I saw Lou. He was watching me run my practice today. I was actually really nervous. But no, it was cool. We had
do Islanders fans a favor, Lou. Hang them up, buddy.
No, but I'll say, like, the Matt Martin Hockey Foundation is awesome. Like, Casey Cizikas has been on the ice. Cal Clutterbuck was out there today. Kyle McLean, Marshall Warren, like all these guys actually like helping me run a practice, which is like really funny to think about. For those of you who know me, you can only imagine the kind of goofy shit I do on the ice with 60 kids at a time, which is insane. But yeah, shout out to Max Feinberg and the Matt Martin Hockey Foundation. It's been a fun week so far. And Stefan Rosner as well has been involved in the camp too, which is cool. And I'll shout out my boy Matt Bobko and Chris Mott. So I said I'd say the shout outs, but I'm not. And we'll talk more next week. Love you guys.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.